Microphone is recording. You can say something to it if you want. You said no words.
I said no words.
Sam, we're back again.
Yeah, dude, I think it's almost been a year to like the day that I was here doing a demo, like a speed demo of one of my first models that I was doing. But since then, basically, this is what I have so far. I went with two factions. I went with the Space Marine Salamanders and Space Wolves. They had been my favorite for a long time. I follow them in the lore. I think they're probably more so the Salamanders than the Space Wolves. I think they're overlooked. Probably my favorite faction with some of my favorite characters and stories. But the Space Wolves also have a very rich history in the Warhammer 40k universe also. But yeah, this is what I'm here to show off. I tried to gear something more, tried to get all different kinds of units, fast, heavy vehicles, and honestly, it just makes me want to get more. It's just like an addiction at this point. But as far as this collection that I have so far, I would have to say some of the favorite models that I have honestly weren't even painted by me. They were painted by other people in the community, but I had multiple people suggest do certain paint jobs, settings, shading, and different concepts to get the figurines. Basically, I wanted to be involved in like the gameplay, because all these miniatures are part of Warhammer 40,000, a miniature sci-fi tabletop war game. And basically what I chose these two factions because in the awful, like, grim universe that they've created, the grim dark universe, these two, as I was reading through the books and delving into the lore, which is something that I personally like to do. I like the ideas, and I like the new lore that they're coming out. It makes it more interesting because it's not like set in stone. I'm trying to finish a book collection called The Siege of Terra, and I've listened to all the audiobooks up to date, and it's just concluding some of the stuff that they were writing years and years ago. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe the hobby itself started in just like the 80s, and has established multiple editions. We're on 10th right now, and I got started in the hobby at around 8th edition, which, moving from 8th to 9th to 10th, you hear the community moaning and groaning, but you also hear that from you hear that from Magic players, you hear that from all sorts of different competitive play. But I believe at this point, it's more of a collection, the collection of the things that I like about the universe the most. There's so many different factions, and there's so many different ways to play the game and to look at the universe, and even the style of painting and the style of gameplay, and just everything can be completely customized, I guess, to put it in a more concise thought. But this is only one faction out of many. You have like orcs, you have like space elves, you have dark space elves, and then you have dwarves, and you have all these different species and things from different walks of life that are just as deadly, if not more deadly and dangerous than the stats of most of these units. I picked these units because they're I'm going to hear a lot of moaning and groaning, especially after this is posted in the comments. But this is probably, besides like the actual not even the humans, besides the actual humans, like, in the universe. But I feel like these are the closest guys to the more morally correct, like, the quote-unquote good guys, unless you're anybody but human, I guess, which I don't mind the idea. The Xenos can burn. Oh, I definitely want to get, like, more extensive. Like, I would definitely want more. If I had a perfect world, it would be a room in my house where there would be different terrain and different buildings and stuff, because they have these wicked tall cathedral buildings, and these models aren't even big compared to some of the ones. My friend Justin right now, who's the one who's painted some of the really detailed ones, he is building something called a Titan, and it actually sits like almost, some of them sit a foot. You can buy ones that sit like 18 inches off the top of the table, but this game is scaled all to the same thing. So if you were to find, like, I were to show you like an actual human, they would be scaled like in the real world, like you would be 6 foot something, you would be 6'2" or something, and you would be 6'2" compared to like the 8'10" the 8'10" Space Marine. The size ratios they could be better, especially for the larger units, because when you read the lore in the books, you read about these Titanic size units that are like city breaking giant machines that are like superior to anything you would probably see here. Yeah, but if I wanted to expand more, I would get a table for sure. I would get a gaming table. I would have custom terrain. I'd put LED lights on it. I'd probably make it an LED table so that it could glow like lava, or if it was blue, it could be like a snow landscape or something with different terrains. And I could play whatever theme at whatever fancy that I wanted to. And as far as collecting goes, I'd probably go a little bit bigger for each faction. I'd probably go a little bit bigger, and then I'd probably start delving into other of the same kind of Space Marines, but different chapters, because that's what they're called, the Space Wolf chapter and the Salamanders chapter. But there's other chapters I find cool that are really good lore, because this is, I mean, you could probably guess that is probably based off of, Viking and wolf themes. Durr. And then we have Salamanders, which isn't exactly like matter of fact. Like, these guys come from a fire planet, and the radiation causes their skin to turn completely black, like coal black, and gives them red eyes. So the guys under these suits are like completely like black. But these guys are more like craftsmen, artisans, which is, I do like trades work and stuff like that, which brought me towards it. And they're the most humble and kind towards humanity. That's like some of their traits. And the Space Wolves are, let's just say they're more abrupt and upfront, and are more aggressive in terms of their play and the way that they carry themselves in the lore. But I would probably theme it mostly off of these two. I would have the room, I would have all the units that I want, and they're coming out with new units like every year, so it's like impossible. Some of them I like, some of them I don't like. I'm waiting on 20 new units that I just have to go pick up, actually, that I'm going to expand into the Salamanders. But then after that, hopefully I'll have most of what I need, and then I'll probably try to get into it competitively. I'll probably try to go to a tournament or something. I'll probably try my hand in it when I get a little bit more free time. So my expansion would probably be vast, I guess.
So I think it's cool that you said that what your goals are with the hobby, because especially if we start doing this on a yearly basis, one year there's a possibility that we could be looking at a neon lit up table with terrain and some of these guys on there. So I think that's pretty cool that we have that captured.
Yeah, no, that would be the perfect goal, because a lot of these custom pieces I haven't touched until I figured out completely. Like this piece here, I'm just gonna take the top off. All the stuff hanging down and hanging off of them, like here and on the shoulder, that's all completely custom. And I want to take my time doing all that stuff. Anything that's incomplete here, I've definitely stopped at one point, either because of my child or because I looked at it and went, this needs something else, and I'm not doing anything else until I figure it out. Because I'm stubborn like that. Trying to convince more people to play, especially in my world. Trying to convince coworkers and friends to get in, family to listen to the hobby and to ask about the wonderful world of Warhammer 40,000. I just hope that the hobby, especially under the watch and due diligence of Henry Cavill, and hopefully Amazon backing him and giving the stuff that he needs, and the wonderful novels that Games Workshop is going to be producing now going forward, now that they just wrapped up an entire like saga of like so many books, just 10 in one series alone of novellas and novels. I hope that this universe becomes more of a thing, because I believe it has the potential to be like a Lord of the Rings. I believe that the depth of this universe makes like George Martin's like Game of Thrones stuff seem like it's a pond. Like the depth of all these characters from any faction of any of these, chapters or any of these species, or the depth and the storytelling done by the people at Black Library and Games Workshop, I think is very overlooked. And the stuff that they put out and the stuff that they write, if it can actually make it to the movie screen in a way that, acceptable by Henry Cavill and Dan Abnett and, everybody else involved, Eric Dembski, Bowden, all those guys. If they can somehow make it really good, this is something like this over like a mini series or a decade like Marvel had. Give them the same amount of time and the same money, and you probably won't be talking about Game of Thrones anymore. You probably, because it'll be something that people like, oh wow, that old show, we should probably just like rewatch it. It's not gonna, I mean, now it's not relevant now, but you get the point. It's something that, if it's done correctly, will produce a massive, even more of a massive fan base than it has now. All the podcasts, you have hours and hours of YouTube videos of people, skepticism, just talking rumor mills. You have Valrock talking about rumor mills. You have Luton talking about the history. You have, Major Kill, who's absolutely hysterical, talks about the universe in a very, it's informative, but it's abrupt, I guess. But I enjoy it. I love his sense of humor. Guy's freaking awesome. But just the base, just the fan base that it has now, if it is given the same care that all these other multi-million-dollar productions get, then it's going to be something people will watch forever. It'll be like watching Lord of the Rings over and over again years and years later. I think it could be that good.